For the opening of the European Ironman season, we're at home with the Raylet brothers and Caroline Steffen. Go down memory lane at the World Championships in Hawaii. And tell you all about what's happened in Europe thus far. .8 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of biking, and a 42.2 kilometer marathon run, all in a maximum time of 17 hours and without any outside assistance. This is Ironman Triathlon, the world's toughest one-day endurance challenge.
You have to dedicate your life to the sport. It's a 24/7 occupation.
First of all, the sport is all about performance and endurance. All professionals that are at the top have the same basic level, but the race is decided in the head.
The Ironman is a different race, no? It's a culture, it's a life, no?
I think everybody who does it must like suffering, because if you don't like suffering, you better do another sport.
The real story is the thousands of amateur athletes. They're the true stars of the show.
They are obsessed, they want to get to that finish line no matter what.
The title
Ironman is definitely justified if you cross the finish line.
As Muhammad Ali said, the will really must be stronger than the skill.
Swim 2.4 miles, bike 112 miles, run 26.2 miles, brag for the rest of your life.
The words of Navy Commander John Collins still stand as the mantra of Ironman. It all started in Hawaii when athletes had a debate about creating a competition to determine who was the fittest person in the world. Together with Collins, they created Ironman, a combination of the Waikiki rough water swim, the Around Oahu bike ride, and the Honolulu Marathon. 15 men took part in the inaugural event in 1978, which was won in a little less than 12 hours by Gordon Haller, the first Ironman. It wasn't the performances of the male athletes that focused the spotlight on Ironman, but rather that of a 23-year-old college student named Julie Moss.
I think this is the first time I've ever wanted something so badly that I was going to crawl on my hands and knees to get it.
Moss participated in the Ironman in order to write a senior thesis for her degree. After 8 hours of competition, she found herself in the lead, suddenly realizing she could win the race. But then her body shut down, incapable of running, just 15 feet from the goal. Kathleen McCartney passed her for the win, but the pictures of Moss crawling to the finish line placed Ironman on the world map and became an inspiration for people worldwide. Another woman put her stamp on the 80s, Zimbabwean Paula Newby Fraser. 3 victories for her, and there was more to come. Dave Scott had been dominating the sport for the first decade, setting a record of 6 wins. In 1984, he broke the 9-hour mark, always leaving his rivals with second place. One of them, young fellow American Mark Allen, had to live with this frustration 3 times in a row until this day in October 1989. Both men racing side by side in the swim, on the bike, and on the run.
Allen has made a move, and Scott appears unable to answer it.
The joy couldn't be greater on the road to Allen's first Ironman title. The end of Dave Scott's reign and the start of Mark Allen's in what is still known today as the Iron War. Since its birth in 1978, European men have only won 6 titles at the Ironman World Championships in Hawaii, But the Ironman field in Europe has grown stronger, and every year there are a number of European contenders who look to win the Lava Rock Trophy. The first is German Andreas Raelert.
There's only one position for Andreas. It's first. If he was to have a war with anybody and finish second in a sprint finish, that'd be absolute failure.
Ronnie Schilknecht from Switzerland. He's a very experienced athlete who's got proven strength on the bike and is also a very good runner. At the end of 2011, he managed to break the 8-hour mark in North America. Belgian Frederik van Leerde. He is one of the most complete athletes. He's equally strong in swimming, cycling and running. And if he has got a good day, he is someone who can decide a race for himself. Belgian Marina van Hoeneke.
He's a guy who has been there a couple of times. He managed to get third 2 years ago.
Another real contender is Spain's Clemente Alonso Maquernen. Raelert, van Hoeneke, van Leerde, Alonso and Schilknecht. 5 men chasing glory. Germany's Andreas Raelert has been Europe's most successful Ironman athlete in Hawaii over the last 3 years. And after 2 thirds and 1 second place, the 35-year-old has his eyes set on the big prize for the 2012 Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. This year, he is joined on his quest by his brother Michael Raelert, who will step up from the 70.3 Ironman series to the full distance. We visited the Raelert brothers at their home in Rostock, Germany, to see how 2 of Europe's biggest Ironman hopes prepare for the season ahead and the big goal of winning the Ironman World Champs on the Big Island. As a triathlete, you always feel that you don't train enough. But specifically this morning, we were swimming 6 kilometers and have gone through the standard program. Now we'll have breakfast and relax a bit. And then at lunchtime, we'll get onto the bike for 3 to 4 hours. The bike training, the same as with the swimming and running, is very differentiated. Sometimes we do very long but stable units, and then shorter but more intensive units. But you can say that we cycle roughly 500 to 800 kilometers every week. It's fair to say that swimming is the most technically demanding, cycling is the most time-intensive, and running is decisive for winning. 2 brothers, 2 characters. Andy is more like a Navy SEAL. You only know that he was there because of the result, and I'm more like a circus performer.
For me personally,
the world record means a lot. From a sport perspective, it's a benchmark, and it also gives me the knowledge that I have the potential to be able to repeat this performance during all other races. And for Hawaii specifically, it means that I have the potential to win the race, if I really believe in myself. For us, it doesn't matter which name is on top of the rankings, as long as the surname is the right one. Melbourne, Australia was the first stop for the world's best Ironman athletes in the 2012 season, and Craig Alexander, the 2011 world champion, celebrated the return to his home country. On the 3.8-kilometer swim, a group of 7 athletes set the pace, but Belgium's Frederik van Leerde took control of the race on the 180k bike course. But he wasn't strong enough to fend off the Australians Cameron Brown and Craig Alexander, with world champion Alexander taking the title in Melbourne.
You know, it's my 8th Ironman race now. I've done 5 in Hawaii, and I've done this one, Coeur d'Alene and Port Macquarie, and what you learn is that it's never over until it's over.
In the women's race, Britain's Rachel Joyce was in front after the swim, but former pro cyclist Caroline Steffen dominated the rest of the field on the 180k bike ride and won the race with an 11-minute lead over second-place Rachel Joyce.
just had an absolutely perfect day, a perfect race. That's not happened very often. Usually you have like a normal day or you have like a really crap day. I never had a perfect day, and today it was just perfect.
The Ironman South Africa was the next important stop for most of Europe's elite athletes. Germany's Andy Becherer took the lead after coming out of the water, closely followed by Alonso McKernan and France's Cyril Vignon. Becherer managed to keep his lead into the second transition, but looked exhausted. Soon after, first Alonso and then Vignon overtook him. Alonso kept his lead all the way to the finish line to claim his first Ironman title. In the women's race, Switzerland's Simone Brentley was beaten by six-time Hawaii winner Natasha Buttman, who produced a strong bike and run performance and won her fourth title in South Africa. Buttman proving that anything is possible.
I was working so many years now since my accident. South Africa has been my last race that I won, and that was 5 years ago, and then was that accident, and so I couldn't believe that I came through.
At the Ironman 70.3 in Mallorca, two-time 70.3 world champion Michael Raelert from Germany dominated the race from start to finish. The 32-year-old was in a league of his own and won with a margin of more than 13 minutes over second-place Michi Görner. Despite a crash on the bike, Britain's Emma-Kate Lidbury secured her first title in Mallorca. England's Chrissie Wellington has reigned over women's Ironman triathlon in the last 5 years, with Hawaii victories in 07, 08, 09 and 2011. This year, the reigning world champion takes a break from competition, but here she looks at her European favourites for 2012.
Caroline Steffen is a force to be reckoned with. She had a phenomenal race at Ironman Melbourne, and if she stays injury-free throughout the year, I really do think that she could challenge for the victory. Rachel Joyce, she's a fantastic swimmer, and I think over the course of this year she's really focused on improving her run, and I definitely think that that's really where she can do some damage in Kona. Leander Cave, you know, showed last year that she's continuing to improve year on year. The female field is incredibly strong, and you know, there'll be some phenomenal racing.
In the absence of Chrissie Wellington, reigning European champion Caroline Steffen is the big European favourite to challenge for the women's title in Hawaii. Residing in Australia, the 33-year-old is back in her native Switzerland to prepare for the European Championships and the race in Kona. I try not to overvalue the whole Hawaii thing and just approach the race like all the other races. I think that's where I'm different to most of the other pros. At her training base in Lausanne, Steffen is coached with the rest of the TBB team by legendary Australian tri-coach Brett Sutton. It's a 200-meter warm-up swim, and then it's 40 times 100 meters, all done in 1:20. Many people say that I'm one of the best in the water, and I always come out of the water in the top 5. And I think I should always be the first to come out the water, because I come from a swimming background.
Caroline so far is on track to do her best ever season, so yeah, I'm very happy with everything at the present moment, and the training's going well.
In Thailand
and in Australia, it's mainly flat terrain because there are no mountains. And in Switzerland, we use the mountains to gain some strength.
%90 of the performances depend straight away on their eating strategy and their drinking strategy. And if they don't get that right, you know, they have problems.
Caroline Steffen is on course for Hawaii, and although she normally doesn't look back, the experiences from last year's race in Kona still spur her on to go all the way this year. At the World Championships 2012 in Hawaii, I want to show a clever race, and as I said before, I've learned a lot from this year. I will listen more to my coach, who suggested a different tactic in 2011, which I changed in the middle of the race. So this year, I will listen to him. I will show a clever race, and then we'll see what the result is. We continue our Hawaiian saga in the 90s. With his victory in 1989, Mark Allen, known as The Grip, had taken over from Dave Scott to become the new Ironman King. Allen accomplished what no one had done before, winning the Ironman World Championships 5 times in a row. His 6th and final crown, won in 1995, allows him to join Dave Scott as a 6-time winner, making those two men the most prolific on the island. In the women's field, the 90s were dominated by Paula Newby-Fraser from Zimbabwe. In 1992, she became the first woman to finish under 9 hours. In 94, Newby-Fraser celebrated her 7th victory, making her the absolute record holder in Hawaii. The Hawaiian Queen is on her way to victory number 8. It's 1995. Newby-Fraser had built a good enough lead on the bike to run this one home, but her energy was leaving her on the run. A couple of kilometers from the finish line, the tank was empty. Karen Smyers has caught up and passes her for victory. For Newby-Fraser, the finish line seems miles away.
I think I'm gonna die.
Eventually, she got up again and crossed the line, 21 minutes after Smyers. 1996 was a year of records. Paula Newby-Fraser was back, and this time she took it home and won a record 8th victory, which still stands today. The popularity of the race has attracted people from all over the world, one of them being 27-year-old Belgian Luc van Lierde. In his first attempt in Hawaii, and despite a 3-minute penalty for drafting, van Lierde becomes the first European to win the Ironman. And to set a new course record in a time that will last for 15 years.
He sets the course record by 3.5 minutes.
Ironman is not only about winners. In 1997, Wendy Ingraham and Sean Wells pushed their bodies beyond what seems endurable. Suddenly, hundreds of meters seemed like an eternity. This legendary moment of Ironman has been named The Crawl. In the end, Ingraham finishes just in front of Welsh in the fight for 4th place. In 1998, Natasha Batman became the first European woman to win the Ironman. The young Swiss celebrated it in her own particular style, of which there was more to come. On the men's side, the European athletes were making up for lost time. 1997 went to the German Thomas Hellriegel, and Luc van Lierde added a 2nd title to his collection in 1999.
World champion.
Ladies and gentlemen,
some top European Ironman athletes turned up for the 70.3 Ironman in St. Pölten, Austria. And after a big group came out of the water together, French athlete Cyril Vigneur claimed the lead on the 90-kilometer bike course and was first into transition and onto the run. But Vigneur couldn't keep up his pace, and first Philipp Ospli from the Czech Republic, and then Germany's Andreas Raelert overtook him on the half marathon. Raelert was struggling a little bit, and Ospli kept his close lead all the way to the finish, winning 39 seconds ahead of Andreas Raelert. After a very consistent performance, Germany's Julia Geier won her first international Ironman 70.3 title in the women's race at St. Pölten. Lake Zurich was the starting point for the Switzerland Ironman 70.3 Rapperswil-Jona, and Germany's Michael Raelert continued his good season with an exceptionally strong running performance, securing his second 70.3 victory in 2012 after winning in Mallorca. The women's race was won by Swiss local Nicola Spirig, who managed to beat favourite Caroline Steffen into second place.
In the top 20.
The Ironman Lanzarote is famed for its scenic swim and cycle route. But Spain's Victor del Corral didn't really care too much about the views and set the pace in the men's race, securing a 9-minute lead by the finish to celebrate his first victory in Lanzarote. Michelle Vesterby from Denmark was the strongest contender in the women's field and left no chance for the others, winning in a little less than 10 hours. The early years 2000 are branded Natascha Buttmann. The Swiss Miss dominated the women's field. After winning her first crown in '98, the Swiss achieved her hat-trick from 2000 to 2002, before earning herself 2 more titles, making it 6 in total, only 2 behind newbie Fraser. The 2001 and 2002 titles went to the American Tim de Boom, before the Europeans strived again. German Norman Stadler, the course record holder on the bike, always failed to reach the highest step of the podium. In 2004, he was given another chance, and this time he didn't let it pass.
I have to thank so much my father. It's the biggest dream. It's like winning the Tour de France or winning Wimbledon.
2 punctures ruined Stadler's hopes to win again in 2005.
Another flat tire! Another flat.
Leaving the title for fellow German Farisal Sultan. In 2006, the 11-minute lead built on the bike allowed Stadler to hope for a second crown. Despite a great marathon, cocky Australian Chris McCormack finished 72 seconds behind the German. There was no replay in 2007. Stadler's illness left the road open for McCormack, who could finally grab what he had been chasing for 6 years. In 2007, a young girl decided to take part in Hawaii, Chrissy Wellington. After coming off the bike in the lead, the rookie from Norfolk, England, continued to impress. Running the second fastest marathon time in history allowed her to claim the crown in her first attempt, and she would hold on to it for another 2 years. After a no-show in 2010, Wellington was back, and this despite getting injured 2 weeks before the race. After a great pursuit, it was mission accomplished. 4 victories in 4 attempts, an incredible record for the Brit. In 2008 and 2009, Australian Craig Alexander took the title. In 2010, McCormack wanted the lava rock back. After starting first onto the run, he was joined in the lead of the marathon by German Andreas Raelert in what looked to be like a remake of the Iron War. Both men were on the limits of exhaustion, but it was finally McCormack who showed more will. He took off to win his second title, only 100 seconds ahead of Raelert. In 2011, Craig Alexander won his 3rd lava rock and beat Luc van Leerder's course record by 12 seconds.
In Ironman you have like 22 races along the year where you need to qualify. So we are ranked on a world ranking during the year by doing half Ironmans and Ironmans. But then in the end of the year, month of October, Hawaii is World Championship.
In 2012, Europe's Ironman triathlon race calendar is packed with half and full distance Ironmans. One of the highlights of the season will be the Ironman France in Nice. Belgian Frederik van Leerder will try to win a second title in a row after taking the crown away from 5-time winner Marcel Zamora. It will be a fierce battle on a hot and challenging course. Who will take over the crown at the Ironman Austria in Klagenfurt in the absence of 6-time winner Marina van Hooneke? Since last year's winner Mary Beth Ellis won't be back to defend her title, the women's field is also wide open. Can the dominance of German triathletes at the European Ironman Championships in Frankfurt continue? After Faris Sultan's, Andreas Raelitz and Timo Bruch's victories in the last 3 years, all the big names will be in Germany to go for gold. Switzerland's Caroline Steffen is back to defend the women's title. The Ironman Switzerland in Zurich has been won by local Ronnie Schilknecht for the last 5 years, but can he make it 6? Double winner Karen Turig won't defend her title in the women's race, but who will step into her footsteps? In its second year, Ironman Wales in Pembrokeshire will be the last chance for Europe's pros to qualify for World Championships in Hawaii. Next week, we're at the Ironman in Regensburg, Germany. Spend more time with Michael Raelitz before his full-distance Ironman debut and revisit Chrissy Wellington's heroic Hawaii moments. That's it for today. We now leave you with great images from the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii.